Don't forget, the next video after this part has already been made and is live now on my Patreon for you to see straight after you've watched this. Fully voice acted, soundtracked, and with my signature editing up for early access to the incredible 5,000 plus patrons who support my work from just $3 with more and more access at higher tiers. This has long been requested to have the full next video early available to you guys who just can't wait for what happens next on Ultra Vegito. And now it's finally here. Links are in the pinned comment and description, head there after the video. So our story continues with Vegito standing before the bulked up and angered looking Jiren, who he had just summoned, as the horned former Pride Trooper would just grunt out, "So, it was you, Vegito. Your life ends here!" But in response to this, Vegito remains with his eyes closed, with an almost disappointed in himself and regretting look, as with his head down, he lets out, "Listen to me, Jiren. I know what you're feeling right now. I know you're angry. You may even hate me. You've been through more than what most could ever imagine. But just remember, the same exact thing happened to me. It was 10 years for me, maybe not as long as you've spent, but I was chained up while you were free to move. You need to see the good in this, because whatever you may be thinking, this was necessary for us to get rid of these gods." Before then opening his eyes with a smile and enthusiastically continuing, "Just look at you now, Jiren. You're a beast. Your power is on a whole new level. Just tell me, was this really that bad? With your ability, I honestly wish I could have kept you longer. But I need your help now." But suddenly, before the God Killer can even finish his encouraging line, Jiren, with full force, his teeth bared and full of rage, would slam a right hook right across the face of the unsuspecting base Vegito, as blood splatters all over, sending Vegito flying off with an incomparable speed towards the nearby surrounding rocky formations, smashing instantly through 3 different large mountains as if they were pieces of paper. Jiren! Finally only landing to crash flat on his back against the wall of the 4th diamond-like mountain, only muttering the name of his former friend as he does so. Huh? What the? Leaving Yamoshi beyond surprised as he witnesses the unexpected interaction, his eyes wide with confusion as he thinks, "What is going on here? I thought the God Killer summoned this creature, but he's turning on him? Maybe this thing isn't anything to do with Vegito after all." Before in deep thought, he ducks his head down and thinks in deep contemplation, trying to find a straw to cling to explain things, as he begins, "I must have been right. I could sense it instantly. That horn, that ungodly power. This is some kind of demon. But how? I already monitored the gates between realms earlier. Every weakling demon attempting to escape was handled as usual. Did I leave one behind? No, not one with this kind of strength." As behind the 3rd, we then see an insight into the demon realm, as the corpses of demons and other victims lay before the body of Yamoshi. But quickly, on finishing these contemplations, Yamoshi spreads out his arms and legs into some kind of fighting stance, ready to pounce as he continues, Whatever the case, demon or not, this must be the worst possible moment to be having to deal with this. Thanks, Arj. Battling Vegito all this time with that nonsense Kaioken multiplier has drained me of almost all of my energy reserves. This is going to be war. Before a bleeding smirk then appears across the face of the third, as he ominously then says, "But I guess that is exactly the kind of challenge a true Saiyan strives of." Begone, you demon! As instantly Yamoshi's mannerism switches to attack mode as he begins rushing at the back-turned Jiren with full speed and velocity. Always keep watch of your surroundings, amateur! Slamming a fist right onto the soft back part of Jiren's head. But strangely, on impact, the cranium of Jiren doesn't seem to move at all. What? Leaving Yamoshi shell-shocked in the process, having never seen anyone tank his hit like this, let alone a random demon. What now? As the angered, covered in veins still Jiren would then slowly turn his head to Yamoshi inquiring, "And who are you? A friend of Son Goku? Stay out of this! He dies today!" Quickly then responding with a hard and impactful sidekick that's right into the abdomen of Yamoshi. Sending the heavily damaged and winded third flying backwards with speed. But just being able to hang on, unexpected of a member of the five, Yamoshi manages to sink his right hand into the ground and stop himself going any further as he skids across the ground backwards. What the hell is going on here? Leaving a bloodied and frustrated Yamoshi on the brink of exhaustion to angrily begin letting out, "No! No! This is no normal demon. This has to be close to Emperor level. But there is no way one of those could have got here by themselves. Zeno, the priest, or the fifth of the five would have surely stepped in for that. This makes no sense. Not unless Lucifer has returned." But as Yamoshi in rage wonders how any of this is possible, Jiren, marveling at his own power, covered in black lightning running all around him, would look into his palm and concede, "I am no demon. But this power I have attained, this is truly something I could have never imagined even a god obtaining. It has been so long since I have even seen another living being, let alone attacked one. I didn't think this day would ever come. I wonder now if there even exists a being that could equal me in battle." Before almost in a schizophrenic change of personality, Jiren would turn back once again to Vegito's direction in pure disdain and yell out, "But no matter how much stronger I have gotten, it was gained by means that I did not want. The most horrific of methods, chosen by you, Son Goku. Many years ago, it was you who also nearly sealed the fate of my entire universe with your so-called tournament of power. And now you have chosen to waste the next 30 years of my life again. You fight to rid the gods who treat the lives of mortals as nothing. But you have done the same to mine. and you will pay the same price you have given them! This is the end, Son Goku! As Jiren then continues his assault on his true goal, rushing in at full power, still as angry as the second he came out. Within nanoseconds, breaking the distance between him and Vegito, as the God Killer remains in the distance, still slumped against the wall. And as the completely damaged and exhausted Vegito looks on, trying his best to brace himself for imminent beatdown, he can only let out, "Damn it! He won't listen to a word of reason! Is this really how I'm going to go out? Jiren, please!" What? What are you doing? Leaving Yamoshi in an embarrassed confusion, as with his teeth bared, he yells out, "You dare attack a god and then turn your attention back to a mortal? Who do you think I am? Some kind of second course? I will not be taken lightly!" As in a rage, feeling jilted, Yamoshi would suddenly power up to a whole new level of power. Roaring to the very heavens he descends from, as even his armor and clothes begin to forcefully rip off in his insane aura. And Jiren, who midway through his rush to Vegito would even notice from the corner of his eye the sudden rise in power from behind. Eventually then leaving even Jiren in a state of surprise as the wind from the power blows hard on his flesh, and he notes, "What is this? This power? It feels divine. Who is this? It reminds me of..." As suddenly, Yamoshi, now topless, with much of his trousers and clothing missing now, would stand slightly slimmer than before, but with a raging, positively divine, red aura emanating from his every pore. Before lifting his hand up abruptly to point a finger straight at Jiren and command, "You. Now that I have your attention finally, how about you leave my prey alone and get your own? Or fight me for it. But before that, tell me who the hell you are. What is your name? And exactly what region of the demon realm did your scum existence escape from?" But unimpressed with the accusation, Jiren would stare back into the eyes of Yamoshi, now intrigued, and reply, "Demon, that is truly what you believe I am. After sensing the nature of that aura of yours, I would have thought you would know better to recognize your fellow god." Jiren would then begin his own power-up of sorts as his muscles begin flexing, and from the middle of his body, strange purple bright lights inexplicably begin lighting in a formation on his chest until... After all, I am still technically Universe 11's God of Destruction, Jiren. As stunningly, Jiren then stands tall in a whole new level of power of his own, with God of Destruction symbols draped on his chest, as he enters some type of complete Hakaishin form. A God of Destruction! Leaving Yamoshi taken back as he stands before the new Jiren. This cannot be! And the shell-shocking confusion continues long after, as Yamoshi, almost stepping back in bewilderment, continues. There is no way a simple destroyer in these universes would have this kind of power. Don't try and deceive me, demon. That horn, if not a demon, it at the very least looks near identical to the God Killers. But Jiren, hearing this, in an annoyed fashion, would then grab onto the horn himself, looking at it as he lets out, even I don't even know where this came from. I got it shortly after I was trapped in the Pyramid of Power by that animal. As my rage, anger and power grew, so too did this. That's all I know, but I hardly care for it. What? This explanation leaving Yamoshi in a surprised state as he tries to take in Jiren's words, before muttering, a demon horn activated on a god? Rage and anger. Nonsense! That is not how those demonic features form. Not unless... Before suddenly, an anger washes over Yamoshi, as with a screw face and cold look, he says, in that case, tell me, Destroyer, exactly where is your predecessor? What did you do to him? As an at peace and calm Jiren would unflinchingly just reply, former god of destruction Belmod? Well, that is a question I can answer easily. He is gone, erased from existence, for crimes against the entire family of a young child. For crimes against me. It was I who killed him. As in the background, we see a flashback to the exact moment in a previous chapter Jiren learned the truth of his past and Belmont, and took his sweet revenge. I knew it! As instantly in a flush of rage, Yamoshi's aura would flux once more, as he powers up angrily, letting out, I knew it. I knew that you were a god killer too! A demon in waiting, forming itself in the living realm. This explains everything. As in a slightly calmer state, Yamoshi would then begin expounding. That horn is no accident at all, Jiren the Grey. Demons. Those who commit sins too great to even just be sent to hell. Those who commit cardinal sins that go against the very law of Zeno. The biggest of which is the murder of a god. Both you and Vegito are one in the same. God killers that are forever now destined to enter the demon realm for eternity once you die. That horn and his are simply physical representations of the change already taking place. And let this go long enough, and you will become a full demon existing in the realm of mortals. Something I cannot, and neither will any of the five allow any more. Today, not just Vegito, but you too will die. As behind Yamoshi, after this shocking revelation, an image of both Vegito and Jiren down in the demon realm appears as if a premonition of the future. But even with this plot-defining reveal, Jiren remains as emotionless and steadfast as always, instead staring back and just replying simply, God killers, demons. Call me whatever you would like. None of this matters to me anymore. Belmont deserved to die, and so too does anyone else who crosses me. This horn means nothing to me, but if its existence means you will now challenge me, then I welcome it, warrior. I will not stand down from any challenge, though I warn you, after what I've been through, I would not push me. And for a moment, the two would then stand tensely before each other, in complete silence, as each wait for the other to make the first move before... Enough with the tough talk! I've slaughtered more than enough of your kind to know that you're nothing! As with a crazed look and covered in his red aura, Yamoshi would launch at Jiren with his arm already cocked back. And this time, Jiren is forced to grab onto and stop the punch rather than just tank it. And though at first it appears as the cold Jiren is unaffected, the force of the punch is then soon apparent, as Jiren is then forced to jump back in tandem with Yamoshi from the shockwave. As the two then stand facing each other with two begrudging looks, one closed-mouthed and focused, while the other is practically foaming from the mouth with anger and battle lust. Come back here! With Yamoshi not ceasing his attack, jumping quickly to Jiren once again, as the second God Killer just stands still, watching fearlessly until... Silence! Suddenly then lifting his palm into the air, as if lifting the weight of the world, as his body flexes as he does so. As from the ground, right before Yamoshi reaches Jiren, a burst of pure flames and intense magma rises from the ground Moro style, taking the third by surprise, as he no longer can even stop his momentum in time. How meaningless! But regardless, with his newfound power, he easily and brazenly smashes through the intense heat despite the burns and continues rushing right to a surprise Jiren. But as Jiren attempts to counter Yamoshi's rush in with a punch, at the very last second with expert precision, Yamoshi ducks right under, commenting, "Too slow, destroyer!" Surprising Jiren, who briefly thinks, his speed. And Yamoshi, yet again, who appears to be reading thoughts, comments with a confident smirk, "It's not just my speed you should be worrying about, youngster." As within his palm, wrapped around Jiren's arm, with a perfect, indefensible line to the Pride Trooper, a ball of concentrated energy forms. Not bad! Leaving Jiren to immediately flex all his muscles, with veins popping all over as he readies his body for impact. And just like as expected, a humongous point-blank explosion is seen as the key beam explodes directly on Jiren. And in the silence, a proud Yamoshi just stands firmly before the wall of smoke before him. Left giggling as he lets out, "Not so cocky now, are you, destroyer? In the end, you were just yet another baby demon that is way out of his depth." But just as an air of confidence builds within the third, suddenly, from out of the smoke before him, a muscular arm that could only belong to one warrior shoots out, palm open, ready to grab onto yamoshi. I'm not sure I'm the one here who is out of his depth, warrior. As suddenly standing there as the smoke dissipates totally is Jiren, with his palm outreached as if ready now to blow up yamoshi with his own kibi. But just when Jiren's next move seems predictable, from out of nowhere, a clone of Jiren appears ready to attack from behind. Damn it! I'm surrounded! As suddenly, the gravity of Yamoshi's precarious situation then becomes extremely evident, with Yamoshi realizing, as the Jiren from behind attacks, physically, another is ready to blast him into the ground in front. But as the Jiren from behind slams his fist into the ground, missing Yamoshi by nanoseconds, the third quickly vanishes. Surrounded, but not quite. Appearing again, now in the air above both clones. I don't know what you're laughing about, but you're right where I want you! Instantly then being followed up by the second Jiren, who blasts off a powerful ball of Hakai straight at Yamoshi just as he appears, as if this was all planned out from the beginning. And before he knows it, the third is faced with a quickly growing in size ball of destruction that is ready to erase him. But as the energy and brightness of the ball begins to even light up Yamoshi's face as it reaches closer and closer, Yamoshi forcefully then grabs the destruction ball with both arms as it burns the very flesh of his skin before. Don't underestimate me! Launching his hands into the air with the ball in tandem as he stares into the sky. And just like that, crisis is averted as Yamoshi launches the ball of destruction into the air and into the depths of space. Looking down now with full smugness, as with a big grin, he lets out patronizingly. Good try, demon. Not every day one of your kind can utilize destruction. But when it's that weak, is there even any point? Leaving an unimpressed Jiren to just grumble under his breath in the aftermath. But meanwhile, as the two titans battle it out, Vegito remains injured and near out of energy, back on the ground attempting to recover. But soon, he can't help but notice the massive battle unfolding before Jiren and the third, with seemingly nothing the Pride Trooper doing being able to one-up Yamoshi. As when Vegito begins standing up once more, he begins thinking, Jiren, he really has gotten so much stronger. A genius with talent that far surpasses Kakarot or Vegeta. I always knew, with the right amount of training, he would become a monster. But even like this, that freak Yamoshi is still too much, I fear. Before his teeth now beginning to bare in frustration, Vegito would continue. I need to help, but I need to recover my energy first. I could go try and get another Senzu from a different timeline, but every second counts in this battle. I can't leave Jiren alone. if I came back too late and something happened to him, I wouldn't be able to forgive myself. I need to figure out another way. I wish I knew how to use all of Boo's or Whis' staff's abilities. But as Vegito ponders on his next move, the battle between Yamoshi and Jiren inevitably continues, as suddenly Yamoshi begins powering up in his palm, a ball of energy of his own, yelling, "Allow me to show a fake god as yourself a true energy attack!" As an annoyed Jiren would ominously just comment, "This is beginning to bore me." As immediately, Jiren surrounds himself in his own signature red aura, tightening his body and skyrocketing his power briefly. Divine Arrow! Just as Yamoshi then launches his attack, which within a flash already reaches face first with the former destroyer. You must be joking! As incredibly, despite Yamoshi's claims, with just one forceful punch, Jiren obliterates the energy attack, sending multiple shards of energy to spread out and separate on collision and shoot past the Pride Trooper. In the aftermath, causing multiple explosions right behind Jiren for devastating effect. But watching on, Vegito suddenly notices something, commenting, "Jiren, you're keeping up, but that energy..." After which the former destroyer will then shoot up into the sky after Yamoshi, ready to finish things. So, you're not as pathetic as I once thought. While Yamoshi, unbothered, would just power up yet another more powerful ball of energy, yelling, "Well, let's see you handle something a little more harsh! Bring it on!" But unfazed, Jiren with his fiery fist outstretched would continue his unflinching flight. And for good reason, as no matter how much energy Yamoshi tosses at Jiren, with just his fist alone, Jiren manages to smash through the key beam like butter. As yet again, the energy beam snaps into 5 different beams of energy that fall to the ground like bombs. But this time, these energy beams are in full view and accessible to Vegito. Who immediately then begins giggling as a smirk appears while he thinks, "Yes, this is it! This is my chance to tag back in!" As Vegito then quickly removes the glove from his left hand and... "Come to Papa!" And Vegito finally once again reveals his signature energy absorption device in his palm that was implanted by Dr. Gero himself, his arms already cocked back to do the unthinkable. Launching quickly with speed, using what's left of his stamina to rush right into the firing line of the still falling shards of energy before... That's it! Perfect! It may not be much, but it will be enough! As immediately, all 5 energy beams are attracted towards Vegito's energy absorption bead like magnets, as each and every one is absorbed completely. You gotta do better than that! As Jiren then finally reaches Yamoshi and slams a fist that is just barely blocked by the cocky Yamoshi until... But it's not long before the forced confidence is broken apart, and Jiren lands a blow in the gut of Yamoshi and then follows up with a hard hook right across the face of Yamoshi too. And as Yamoshi stumbles back, with his eyes barely open from the pain, he would begin muttering, This is absurd. How am I being beaten by a mere destroyer? Demon or not, this cannot be. Each of these attacks is doing far too much damage. Maybe it's just the effects of having fought that clown Vegito earlier, but I cannot allow another hit. But as Yamoshi stands facing Jiren, an impatient Jiren with his back to us would inquire, What's wrong, warrior? Have you given up? And just like that, as if almost conceding to what Jiren had requested, Yamoshi inexplicably reverts back to base form. What? Yamoshi! Leaving both Jiren and Vegito perplexed by his actions and possible motives, with Vegito thinking, What's happening? He's gone back to base, but for what reason? He's as Saiyan as they come. There's no way his pride would allow him to give up like this. But meanwhile, Yamoshi would just remain silent, not uttering a word until... Suddenly, his hair shoots up as if transforming once again. Before, his head then cocks back, and what's visible of his hair seems to have turned mysteriously from black to white. And finally, in a shock turn of events, Yamoshi, the first Super Saiyan God, reveals himself now in his mastered Ultra Instinct form, white hair and all, commenting, If having to avoid your attacks is what is needed now, young Jiren, then this form will be more than enough. But curiously, as Jiren watches on, a nostalgic smile appears on his face as he thinks, so, he too can use that form. This certainly brings back memories of him. Referring back, of course, to the first time he fought Son Goku in his Ultra Instinct form. What? But in a stark contrast, Vegito instead is left gobsmacked as he lets out, He could have used Ultra Instinct against me this whole time? Just how much was he holding back against me? Damn it! I need to do something now before it's too late! But just before he makes his move, Vegito pauses and contemplates. I've only got a bit of my energy back, but blue should be enough to back up Jiren. If he attacks from one side and I attack from the other, we should be able to counter Ultra Instinct. And just like that, immediately Vegito does then transform into his Super Saiyan Blue state. Don't worry, Jiren, I've got your back! Instantly then rushing in, as Yamoshi turns to the God Killer and remains motionless as if not bothered in the slightest. But Jiren meanwhile takes notice too, but does not seem as unbothered, thinking, Son Goku. Before instantly appearing right beside a shocked Vegito who asks, Jiren, what are you? Before once again, with no hesitation, slamming his fist into the ribs of Vegito with true intensity, screaming as he does so, You are not my ally, Son Goku, so stay out of my business and wait your turn! Sending the brutally damaged Vegito flying off once more, and again crashing back into a mountain like an unwanted doll. Huh? surprising Yamoshi as he realizes now he won't be having to deal with two god killers after all, especially now as Jiren is preoccupied with his back turned, thinking, I have no idea what's going on between those two, but if he wants to make this easier for me, then be my guest. Immediately then shooting from the spot with a confident smile, now clad and covered in his MUI aura. Ha! Looks like I'll be getting you from behind once again, friend! Commenting as he quickly approaches from behind. But with Jiren's senses and reactions, this time he notices instantly, and his frustrations and veins begin to bubble up until... Enough games! With a roar, Jiren yells to the sky and... Jiren finally begins yet another power-up, with his back still turned to the third, but the force of his power alone enough to stop Yamoshi in his tracks. As Jiren's power begins to soar, so too does his fiery red aura begin to swell to new heights. Eventually beginning now to even dwarf him in size as Yamoshi begins to be pushed back. Closing one of his eyes and bringing both arms up now to cover himself from the pushback of the wind itself, Yamoshi just thinks to himself, what's going on here? How is his power suddenly rising like this? Is this Kaioken again? What? But before Yamoshi can even spend a second more wondering what kind of transformation Jiren is undergoing, everything is cut short as the true nature of Jiren's unreal speed is revealed, appearing instantaneously before the third with his palm already engaged to... In one vicious fell swoop, Yamoshi is grabbed by his face. With so much force, the third is almost briefly knocked unconscious. And violently, with unimaginable strength, Jiren bends Yamoshi's back completely to slam his bare skull right down onto the hard surface of the planet for a gigantic smash. And in the aftermath, as Jiren removes his hand in silence, not even the sound of agonizing pain can be heard due to the ferocity. As Yamoshi is then seen, back in base, one eye barely open and quickly fading, as in his last moments, the legendary Saiyan mutters, his speed, it beat Ultra Instinct. And Jiren, as if now providing one obligatory final word, would then just reply, that form may have took me by surprise at one point in my life, but not anymore. Power is everything. Attaboy! As an almost equally beaten Vegito, who holds himself up now onto a rock, smiles knowing the third is finally finished, and lets out, Jiren, you absolute monster! You did it! You really beat him! Me and you will save everyone after all. But unbelievably, with the same unimaginable speed and power, Jiren then appears, thrusting his fist straight into the body of the completely vulnerable Vegito, splashing blood and guts all over his arm. As with nothing short of a serious and deadly frank stare, he then finally says, yes, I will save everyone from you, Son Goku! But that was it for today's video, guys, and if you made it this far, leave me a hashtag SonGoku in the comments down below and let me know what you think will happen with Jiren and Vegito now. or just head over to my Patreon right now where you can see the full next video, fully voice acted, soundtracks, and edited for you to enjoy with over 5,000 other fans, as well as getting access to 250 plus other fan mangas too. It's the deal of the century.